Good morning and welcome to this morning's meditation here on the Deanna Awakening Love page. Just going to give you all a few moments to join me. And please say hi and where you're tuning in from. It's a beautiful sunny day here this morning again, thank goodness. Good morning, Washington. Good morning, how are you this morning? I'm on time this morning for a change. Just going to wait a few moments and to see how many of you get the notification to join. I think sometimes it can take a little while. Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening wherever you are in the world. Please say hi and where you're tuning in from. And let me know how you're feeling today. Very sunny here. The birds are tweeting like mad outside. We've been having some lovely sunshine. I feel really blessed. Good. I'm glad it's really nice weather where you are. I mean, you know, weather comes and goes, but still we appreciate the sun, don't we? I've been really appreciating the sunshine the last few days. I just love being outside in it. It's just, yeah, I'm in my element when I'm in the sun. I think it's because I was born in the summer, maybe. Maybe when at the time of year that we're born in, we also have more of an affinity with. I guess most people like the summer, don't they, generally? It's not really up for, yeah, most people like it, I imagine. Seemed to be a bit slow starting this morning. Good morning. Please say hi and where you're tuning in from. Did you get a notification to say that I'd gone live? Or did you have to just come to the page? How does it work? I'm interested to know actually. Good morning. Please say hi and where you're tuning in from. Welcome to this morning's meditation here on the Deanna Awakening Love page. I'm here every morning at 8 AM. British summertime, London time. Good morning, California. Oh, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon again. Ah, okay. Well, that helps to know, yeah. That's good that you get notifications, isn't it, that I'm going live? It really does help. Good morning, Berlin. Lovely to see you. Yeah, please all say hi and where you are in the world, so I can get an idea of what parts of the world are watching and tuning in. It's great. Do love it. I love how we can all be together. Good morning, Blackburn. That sounds very much like the UK. I'm guessing it is the UK. Good morning. Just had to give you all a few moments to see the notification. I think it's a bit slow, but at least it works. At least we know that it works, which is helpful. How are you all? Have you been watching these meditations every day? Have you had a break? Are you practicing meditation now every day? Once a day, twice a day? Let me know. Am I inspiring you, or were you already doing meditation anyway? Practicing it, rather. Be lovely to know. Good morning, Lancashire. Yeah. I've got to go out and do some food shopping in a bit. I'm going to try and go out earlier this morning. It gets quite busy these days. How are you all? Have you all been meditating? Have you all been following these meditations? Let me know. I think there's a bit of a delay with when I ask something and how long it takes for the notification to come up, actually. Anyone got any questions for me today about meditation or spirituality or anything that you might be experiencing? Did you join in the healing circle meditation yesterday? So I think that was quite powerful. Seemed to help a lot of us. Just reading your comments. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. Great. Yeah, don't worry about being late. I think it's to do with the, I think it's to do with the notifications. I don't think it comes up straight away. I was actually on time. I was here at 8, but, maybe I need to get here a little bit earlier to give you all time to see the notification. Anyway, it is what it is. We are all gathering now, so that's the great thing. It's working now. Please say hi, where you're tuning in from. There's a name here that I kind of recognise. Asha. Do we know each other, Asha? I recognise that name. Good morning, Bucks. Is that Buckinghamshire? That's the UK as well, isn't it? Of course. Is it sunny where you are? Have you been meditating? I'm waiting for you to let me know. It's okay if you haven't. I'm just wondering if I'm inspiring you to meditate. I've been having an interesting few weeks, actually. Loads of stuff around relationships has been coming up. Just wondering if that's a theme, generally. Is everyone else having stuff around relationships coming up at the moment? Or is anyone else, rather? Good. I'm glad I'm inspiring you. Nice to know. Yeah, so please ask any questions you'd like. I'm really happy to hear what you have to share. In fact, I like it when you share. It's far more interesting than me speaking to myself. The daily meditations have helped and added to my meditation practice quite nicely and inspired more. Thank you. It's been a huge blessing. Oh, I'm so glad you think so. I'm so glad that you feel that. Wonderful. Be great to gather together when we can. I'd love to do that. All of us somewhere on a mountain somewhere. Oh goodness, bless you. That must be a huge loss. Lots of grief coming up. Yeah, that's also a relationship challenge, massive challenge, isn't it? I did speak about grief on one of the other meditations. I think that one's on my YouTube now. The difficulty when somebody leaves their body is our ability to, our ability to carry on with life without them, because not only were they there for us, but we identified with them as part of our life, so we feel like we've lost a part of ourselves. That's the challenge, to find a part of yourselves. Yeah, you feel lost without him. Bless you. Life can feel like that too, when you love someone and you can't be with them. Absolutely. It can feel like a grief. Many relationships can feel like grief. But, you know, cliche, but it's true. We can never be separate from anyone that we love, and even those that we don't love. Not in a conscious way anyway, because we're all connected. And even when someone moves out of their body and they become, you know, without their body, basically, then we're still connected to them. Often they'll stay around us for a while if they can, you know, because, but also we have to go through the grief process and allow ourselves to let them go. It's not ideal for them for us to hold on to them. It is a process of detachment, but it can be a very difficult process, because we're so invested in our relationships, and the deeper the relationship, the longer the relationship, the more passionate, the more loving the relationship, the more difficult it is to let go, especially when somebody leaves their body as well, you know. But it can be the same when they don't. It can be the same, as I mentioned before, when we love someone and we can't be with them for whatever reason, and there are often many reasons, and it can feel like a part of us has died because we're so connected to that soul. They may be a part of our soul group, a part of our, you know, a soul mate, a twin flame, someone that's chosen to be in our lives as we've chosen to be in their lives for a short time or a lifetime, to teach us things about ourselves, to help us to learn new ways of being, new ways of connecting, new ways of relating. Maybe they were an opportunity for us to love more deeply than we'd ever had the opportunity to love before. you know, maybe they showed up because we were hurting and we needed to heal that hurt, and they were willing participant in our healing process. Maybe they'd had deep trauma the same as us, and we were able to heal each other through that. There are all kinds of combinations of relationships, and they are a playground for discovering ourselves. And often to be in relationship is the most challenging way of discovering ourselves, discovering our likes, our dislikes, our passion, our desires, or, you know, the ways that we can communicate, all kinds of aspects to relationships. And yes, I imagine after 20 years together, that's huge. It's a long time, very long time. But yeah, so it seems like a lot is coming up around relationships at the moment. Losing people, you know, physically leaving their bodies, people coming into our lives, people leaving our lives, feeling deep connections with people and not really knowing how to move forward with that. Being rejected is another one, isn't it? We all fear rejection, we fear abandonment. Often if something feels so strong, we'd rather not get involved. We hold ourselves back through the fear of getting hurt, through getting damaged in some way. And the hurt is coming from a deep, deep wound within all of us. You know, the hurt, the idea that we have become separate in some way. So it's a deep wound that relationships bring up in us. I believe people come to your life for a reason. Absolutely. You're welcome. Absolutely. They do. They come into our lives for a reason. Always. No one ever comes into our lives by mistake. No, not at all. They always come to teach us something more about ourselves, to show us something more. If we're willing and open, you know, we'll be able to see the truth of their soul too, as well as our own. Relationships are a powerful learning process, you know, an opportunity of learning. But also being on our own can be deep learning as well. Certainly for me, the last 2 or 3 weeks now, a lot has come up around relationships, about being in these circumstances and not being in a partnership, and you know, how that feels and what I feel I need, I want. I'm still exploring that. Often as well, people come into our lives to show us things and they might not even be fully available to us, you know. That can also be a pattern, attracting people who are unavailable, because deep down there is something within us that isn't fully available to a relationship with a partner. There are all these kinds of dynamics that play out. We do all kinds of subconscious things to protect ourselves. From what exactly? From the fear of getting hurt, from the fear that we can't cope with being hurt again in some way. And but unless we open our hearts, we'll never know. So we can hold ourselves back by continuously focusing on the fear of being hurt and not allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. And even communicating, for many people, communicating in relationships is so difficult. I know from my own experience that I've been in relationships and I've not communicated very well at all. I mean, this is going back a few years now. Things would be different. But I've not communicated, you know, much at all. And I've often just gone along, I'd gone along with things. We'd not spoken about things. We'd not even discussed the dynamics of the relationship, or whether we were in a relationship, or whether we wanted to be monogamous, or none of this stuff was discussed. And you realize that actually when you go into a partnership, when you go into a relationship, it's vital to discuss all the different aspects, because otherwise you're just kind of going blind, and things aren't necessarily going to go the way you want them, because you never even expressed how you wanted them to go. And then sometimes we have beautiful people come into our lives, but we don't allow them to come in because of past hurts, and we project our previous experiences onto the next person. So they may come in fresh and willing and open, and then we're like, no, but you'll be like this and you're going to be like that because this is what I've experienced previously. This happens a lot in relationships. So to come from a place of meeting somebody exactly where they are and where you are, without all the past baggage and without baggage, you know what I mean, experience, really, it's not really baggage, but their experience and your experience, and just being fully present with each other and allowing yourself to see that person, in their beauty, in their wisdom, in their truth in that moment, rather than putting on all of our ideas of how they should be, and maybe what we think they might be because of what we've experienced. I'm sure you know what I mean, because we all do this in one form or another, or we have done it and then we've learned from it. He was perfect for me. Yes, that's so beautiful. And that's the other thing, is we're not searching or looking for or wanting someone to come into our life who is perfect, because we're all works in progress all the time. And that's something that relationships show us, that we're works in progress, No. People come into our lives and they are perfect for us. So it's not about them being perfect, but it's seeing that they are perfect for us because they come into our lives at that time. Oh, the best human ever. Bless you. I'm sure you'll meet some more now you know what the best human ever feels like to be around. But yes, I imagine that's a challenge for you. Massive growth. But there is a gift in someone that we truly love leaving their body. There's a gift in that for us. There's a gift to recognize our own infinite nature, and the deepest connection that we have with them comes through that experience, as well as deep grief. But the deep grief is an unfolding of all the loss, all the rejection, all the ideas of separation. So the grief we experience is like a primal wound that comes up to be healed when the person that, or when somebody that we love leaves their body. They give us an opportunity to work through that deep wounding, that deep hurt, and allow ourselves to move through it. And it can be a great, great healing if we allow ourselves to feel the grief and recognize the gift in it too. So it's an opportunity, and actually, yes, it's another way of them offering us another blessing, not only with their presence in life, but also with their passing and leaving the body in death. Yes. Yeah, I thought some of you might know what I mean when I'm talking about all these different dynamics in relationships. And also sometimes we attract people who aren't actually available at all, and somehow they still find their way to us. I've certainly experienced lots of dynamics like that, and I've really had to look at myself and, you know, what it is within me that continues to attract that unavailability in some form or other, physically, mentally, emotionally. Certainly a pattern. And also, when we look at the dynamics of our parents, when we look at our, you know, how our parents' relationships and also our parents as individual beings and how they lived their lives, and we can often see reflections of that with the partners that we're choosing of the opposite sex. They often represent a parent and the ways that we got used to as a child and the ways that we felt that we were loved as a child is represented in the actions that the parents taken, you know. So we bring someone into our lives that is very similar. So for example, if you have an absent, unavailable father, then you might choose to bring in an unavailable man. I'm laughing about this because, you know, from personal experience. And maybe, you know, if you have a parent who is, or had a parent who is very, you know, not in a monogamous relationship, but unable to sustain that, but isn't honest with that, then you might attract somebody that's very similar into your life because that's what you got used to, that's what you saw, that's what you experienced, and that parent loved you from that experience. So, you know, it's quite complex, but in a way it's quite easy to see these dynamics play out in our lives once we really start to look at them. And it's good to look, it's really good to look and get really clear with yourself as to what you're bringing into your life and how people show up and what parts of you are unavailable, what parts of you are unavailable to yourself, what parts of you are you suppressing, what parts of you aren't you expressing, what parts of you aren't you accepting. You know, can we fully accept the whole of our being, the whole of our physicality, the whole of our just everything about ourselves? Can we fully accept everything about ourselves? Because then we'll often bring in a partner who has similar issues, you know. I know that when I had a breakup many years ago now and I went into another relationship, I was attracting from a place of really deep wounding, hurt, abandonment, all this kind of stuff. And of course I attracted somebody that mirrored that to me, very much so. And of course that didn't go very well. That relationship did not go very well. There was a lot of learning, but it became possessive and violent, and then I had to end it. So it was, you know, recognizing that I was attracting from a place of very low self-worth, very low respect, and bringing in someone who was also having the same issues. So this is why, you know, if you have a relationship and then you break up with someone and you go straight into another relationship, often it's not going to work, because unless you've really got to know that person, you're just going to be attracting from that place that you're at that point, and it's highly likely it's not going to be a great place because of what you've just gone through. So, you know, often we need time to adjust, to really come back to our center. We can get lost in relationships if we allow ourselves to get lost in them, you know, and by that I mean not honouring our individuality, our needs, our wants, our nourishing ourselves, forgetting about ourselves. But it's so important that even in partnership, even in relationship, that both people have the opportunity to grow and go, maybe even go off and do their own things at certain times, because we can't hold people back. It's not about holding people back, it's about growing together. And so there has to be some freedom in that relationship, in that both of you have to be able to, you know, still live your lives, not control each other, not hold each other back from your growth. But often, you know, in marriages and relationships, people feel that they have some kind of control over someone, and so they will try to control the other, believing that they should have control over the other. But in any relationship, both partners are free to leave at any point. And it's never a given that we will stay together with anybody that we're with, even if we've been together a long time. Both people are always free to leave that situation whenever they want to. And I think this is important to recognize, that no matter what we say or how we create a relationship, to also recognize that it's two free individuals, two free divine sparks, if you like, two free beings choosing to become a union together. But that still means that they need to allow their individual freedom at the same time to grow and learn. And you know, this is the best way, because once we start to really hold on to the other person, we try and control them in any way, then we're just pushing them away. We're not allowing them to be themselves. We're saying, actually, I want to be with you, but you need to be like this. You need to, you know, behave like this, do this, you can't do that, whatever, you know, all the dynamics. I'm sure you can understand what I'm saying, and maybe even experience some of it yourselves. So coming back to my point, really, which was about being in these situations, and many people being at home, being on their own, not necessarily being in families, relationship dynamics. It can be, you know, it's a challenge to really look into these things that we feel that are missing in our lives, and really allow ourselves to explore what it is that's missing, and also to explore the wounding around these things, and to just the opportunity to really heal ourselves at this time, with all these distractions being taken away from us and the focus being brought onto us. And I know I've spoken about this in many of the other videos briefly, just about being in the position of really facing ourselves and not being able to get away from ourselves. And so, yeah, loads of stuff has been coming up for me around relationships, around healing relationships, around what have I been attracting into my life, around what I really want in my life, and clearing and healing these wounds that have been resurfacing through one situation or another. And it's a continual process, but it's a real deep dive into, you know, what we are, what's important to us, and yeah, just it's quite an exploration of what we are. And I know that when we really explore what we are, we expand, you know, we expand our capacity to love, to connect, to communicate, all the things that I mentioned earlier in relationships. When we really begin to dive deep into this, we begin to recognize that we're expanding with this deep diving and discovery of these aspects of ourselves into more of ourselves. So we become, you know, we just become more of what we are. We recognize things about ourselves that maybe we hadn't looked at before. Self-discovery, self-discovery. And this has been a process for me, and I'm sure for many of you that will watch this whenever you come across it, around relationships and the relationship that we have with ourselves, which of course is our primary relationship. And that relationship has grown over the time that we've been in this body, and all of our experiences and challenges and conditionings and all these kind of things. We've built up an idea of what we are, who we are, and how we relate to others in the world. But there's so much more to keep discovering, and this discovery is actually Tantra. Tantra is a word that describes the expansion of our being. So through deep diving into all the different aspects of life and really looking at everything, we discover this expansion, the eternal being that we are, and the many ways in which we express ourselves and we relate to the world around us, and we relate to each other, and we develop an intimacy with life, we develop an intimacy with each other. We allow that free expression of our soul through our relationships, through our sharings, through these deep dives into our issues, our challenges. And it is a beautiful opportunity when we're willing, but often we're not willing because we just want to distract ourselves. We'd rather not feel what we're feeling in any moment. To really give yourself the opportunity to feel deep pain, deep wounding from a past relationship or hurt or whatever it might be, is really an opportunity to explore the self deeper and deeper. And it is a blessing. Might not feel like it, but certainly from my experience over these last couple of weeks, this continuous diving in to see what's really here, what's there, what's coming up, to be seen, to be healed, to be looked at, is just expanding my capacity to love, to be vulnerable, to experience a deeper intimacy with myself and others. So I encourage you all to look at these aspects of your life in a deeper way, and it doesn't have to be a sad way. It doesn't have to be it's like moving through the pain, moving through the abandonment issues. It's all very healing and very beautiful, and actually I'm appreciating every little drop of juice from this exploration that I'm allowing myself to have. So, it doesn't feel negative, for a better word, even to feel the grief. It doesn't feel negative in any way. It just feels like diving into an ocean and diving deeper and deeper and finding the jewels in all of the messiness of being a human being, because we have these emotions, we have times when we feel overwhelmed. We do bring people into our lives that maybe would not don't feel like the ideal, but we have lessons to learn. And I encourage you all to just really look at these different parts of yourself, especially the parts that you don't like or you don't love or you really wish you didn't have. And it can even be physical things about your body, as well as the way you are in the world, or maybe how what you've thought about yourself for so many years. All these kind of different things that we accumulate. But to really dive into it in an inquisitive way of how we relate to ourselves and each other is really, it's such a gift to be able to go deep into it. I hope I've made some sense. I feel like I'm making sense to myself, but I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense to you. Let me know if it does or not. But what I'm saying is, life is an opportunity to explore the depths of our being, the depths of our relating the depths of who we are in all aspects. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. To recognize the patterns of, in the mind, the records that have played for years and years, and to see the self-talk and to accept that and love it and shift it into something else. That's often something that people don't look at, the inner dialogue that we have with ourselves. Is it kind? Is it loving? Is it real? Is it true? What do you say to yourself on a daily basis? What do you say to yourself on a daily basis? Are you kind to yourself? Are you loving to yourself? Or do you have a dialogue that says, I should be like this, I should be like that, I shouldn't be like this, I shouldn't be like that, I should be more of this, I should be less of that? What about if you could just accept and stop talking to yourself in that inner way of judgment, of unlovingness, of unkindness? Glad I'm making sense, because sometimes I do wonder. I'm so deep, I get a bit lost in my own stuff. Yeah, so how do you speak to yourself? What is the inner dialogue that you share with yourself every day? Is it kind? Is it kind? I mean, basically, is it kind? Would the way that you speak to yourself inside your inner dialogue, would you speak to others that way? Would you choose to speak to others that way, the way that you speak to yourself? And if not, why are you doing it? Stop doing it. Don't speak to yourself that way. I'm just sharing from where I'm at. Whenever I do these videos, I'm just sharing from where I'm at in that moment. I can't do anything else or be anything else. And, I am a messy human being. I'm deep, I understand a lot, I have a lot of wisdom, and there's a lot that I can share, but it's still very messy at times, it's still very emotional at times, but there's a beauty in it, there's a real beauty in exploring all of these aspects of ourselves. There's a perfection in exploring these aspects of ourselves, the ways that we express ourselves. Good, I'm glad I'm making sense. Oh, thank you, that's so sweet. Good, okay, well, good. Yeah, so, and the other thing that I have a challenge with is when I really love someone, when I unconditionally love someone, if they're feeling hurt, then I will feel it. I'll feel it like they're feeling it. And it's really challenging sometimes for me to have such deep connections with others, and also feel everything that they're feeling, and not be able to switch it off. And time and space doesn't make any difference. The day of the week doesn't make any difference, I think with some people that we have in our lives, some friends that we've chosen to create with, to be with, to bring into our awareness, to bring into being, because the people that show up in our lives, we brought them into being. and they've brought us into being, because they're a part of us, they're an aspect of consciousness that has become manifest. That's what friends are, aspects of consciousness that have become manifest into physical form to share and teach and learn. But also, when we have this way of being so connected to ourselves, then we deeply connect more and more with others as well, of course, because, you know, we're all here, so we feel it more. So this deep exploration into ourselves enables us to have more compassion for others, but also often, in my own experience, to feel what they're feeling and to feel their hurt, to feel their sadness. And I had an experience of this yesterday, actually. A friend of mine is going through something, and I really felt his heart in all of it, and what he was sharing was also a lot of my experiences from around relationships, and I just found myself just melting with the tears that came up through his expression and the love in the friendship, and just really feeling that within me, knowing that that's his experience, and he was also mirroring to me things about my own experiences. And then from that moment, I was in that for like most of the rest of the day, really, feeling all of that stuff that was coming up for him. I was still, even although we didn't speak or anything, it was just, just feeling and processing and noticing. And this is the connection that we have. This is the intimacy with life that we have when we allow ourselves. But then people will say, oh no, you shouldn't feel so deeply for another. You shouldn't, you need to stop feeling what they're feeling. But you can't just switch it off like that, because if I switch that off, then it's closing my heart. And the one thing I learned from deep past hurt in a relationship, and then abandoning myself straight afterwards and closing my heart down, was it's more painful to close your heart than it is to open it fully to another. So the avoidance of pain, the avoidance of being hurt is more painful than actually opening up to a relationship, to yourself. And of course, when we abandon ourselves, we hurt ourselves. It's a way of punishing ourselves. It's a way of self-harm, is to abandon ourselves, to shut down, to say, walls are coming down, that's it. I'm staying here. I'm not getting involved with life. I'm not going to allow myself to receive. Because when we shut ourselves down emotionally, we don't allow life to flow. We don't allow ourselves to receive. It's like we see ourselves as unworthy, so we close down. There's more hurt in closing down than there is in opening up. So relationships are really an exploration of ourselves. Every part of a relationship is an exploration of ourselves. through our emotions, through our physical bodies, through our sexuality, all the aspects of ourselves. We get to know our passions, our desires. We get to create through relationship with another. Because the relationship is a playground for creation. Often it's the creation of children, of course. A direct creation from relationships is our children. But we get to explore ourselves through the other, and they get to explore themselves through us, if we're willing and open to allow that process. Because sometimes people will say things in relationships and we shut them out because we won't accept that part of ourselves as well. And this is what I've learned, about communication is so important in relationships. To really ask for what you want. And to allow the other person to do the same. Else, how are you fully living in relationship if you can't even ask for what you want in a relationship? If you can't express your needs and wants and desires in a relationship, then are you fully living in that relationship, or are you just existing together? Life happens in the edges. Life happens in the edges. The parts where we don't really want to go. That's where life blossoms, where life happens, where we discover more of ourselves, where we deep dive into the discovery. Do you know what your partner loves? Do you know what your partner desires? Do you know your partner's pains and fears? Have you ever sat down and spoken about those things with your partner or with a loved one? Have you ever had those discussions? I invite you all to really explore these aspects of your relationships. And also the triggers that happen in relationships, so that if your partner is triggered by something you do, you can understand the deeper reason for that, and you don't get angry and push them away or shut down. And if you feel triggered by something that your partner does, explore that. And explain to them that it's not something they have actually done, but it's something that you're feeling. And what they are showing you is just triggering that part, that memory within you that needs to come up to be healed, which is why it gets triggered. To be seen for what it is. The other person in the relationship is giving you the opportunity to heal. But the confusion comes when we start projecting everything onto each other, instead of taking responsibility for our own triggers and responses or reactions. Does anyone have any questions about anything that I've said so far? Or would anyone like to share anything about their, would you like to share anything about your relationships or the way that you relate to others? Really happy to hear anything that you want to share. I have an Instagram account called Awakening Tantric Love, where I share about relationships, sexuality and tantra. So if any of you are interested in following that, then you're very welcome. It's a work in progress because, of course, as I learn and understand and explore this more and more, the sharings come from that, and I also share other experts and their insights. So you're very welcome to follow that if you would like to. Okay, I think it's time for the meditation then. I can't see any questions. So let's move on to the meditation. I'm trying to keep these lives to just an hour, so I don't know actually how long that's been, but so we'll do a short meditation now, and it's going to be based around some of what I've been sharing here. So if you would like to all close your eyes, make sure, well, first of all, make sure that you're comfortable, that you're warm enough. Grab a blanket if you need to. Put your headphones on, go into another room if you need to, whatever you need to do just to have your own space. You may have done that already. If you can sit up with your back straight and your legs crossed in lotus position, that's wonderful. You can lie down if you want to as well, but don't cross your legs or your arms. If you're sitting up with your back straight, then just put your hands, palms facing up towards the sky, resting on your knees. And just taking a deep breath in together and breathing out. And another breath in and breathing out. And closing our eyes now, and I'm going to close my eyes with you. I just want you to feel any sensations in your body that are available to you right now. And just breathe easily and gently, let the breath settle into its own rhythm. Just noticing any sensations in the body. Okay, now I want you to gently open your eyes. It's going to be a slightly different type of meditation today. Put your hands together and then rub your hands together. This just stimulates the chi energy in the body. It will also warm your hands up if they're cold. And breathing easily and gently. And just holding your hands still for a moment. And then closing your eyes again. I just want you to feel your face with your hands, just very, very gently. And just be very, very aware of where your fingers meet your skin. And you can be as enthusiastic about this as you want to be. But the point is to stay in awareness of what you are doing, where your hands are. Being very, very aware of the tips of your fingers and where your fingers meet your skin. So just closing your eyes, just very, very gently placing your hands, your fingertips on your forehead, and drawing your hands down each side of your face. You can do this however you want to, really, but just you can follow me. Bringing your hands down towards your chin very, very slowly and carefully. I'm just going to do that again. Just very, very gently notice where your fingertips meet your skin. And you can bring one of your hands, the fingers down the center of your face, down the bridge of your nose. Just very, very gently and slowly across your lips, over your chin, bringing your hands both to the top of your forehead again and gently bringing them down each side of your face, down your forehead, across your cheeks, down towards your jaw. Just doing this very, very slowly and consciously, very aware of where your fingers meet your skin. Just notice the sensation. Notice the temperature of your skin. Maybe your nose is colder than the rest of your face, or your cheeks are colder. Or maybe there's some areas of your skin that are softer than others. Maybe your skin is warm and your fingers are cold. Just notice very, very gently. As you bring your hands over your face, you can do this really any way you like, but just using the tips of your fingers. Just exploring your face with the tips of your fingers. Your eyes closed, breathing totally relaxed. Notice how something so seemingly mundane has a very different quality to it in this moment. And bringing your fingers again down each side of your face. Slowly Noticing the temperature of your skin. Noticing how your fingers feel. And bringing your hands back into prayer position. Opening your eyes. Noticing how your face feels now, how your fingers feel, how your body feels. Now I'm just going to ask you to take your right hand and your left arm and just very, very gently, the same process, and you can close your eyes if you want to, which I will. Just using your fingertips, just very, very gently glide your fingertips across your arm, very, very slowly. Just noticing the sensations between your fingers and your skin. Bringing your fingers all the way down to your hands, very, very slowly and gently. We're just going to do that a couple more times. You can relax your arm. Just gently bringing the fingertips over the skin, down towards your hand. Very slowly feeling each movement, each sensation. Noticing the breath, whole body relaxed. And one more time, bringing the fingers down across the arm, very, very slowly, feeling where your skin meets your fingers. Bring your awareness to the place where your skin meets your fingers. Notice what's happening. Bringing your hands back into prayer. Breathing easily and gently. Relaxing your hands, and we're going to have just a couple of moments silence now. Notice how your body feels again. Notice how your fingers feel. Notice your breathing. Let everything settle. Resting your hands back on your knees. might need to take a slightly deeper breath in now. And slowly opening your eyes. And what I'd like you all to do now is to just give yourselves a hug. And you can be as enthusiastic about this as you want to be. And just hold yourself. You can close your eyes again briefly. And just make an intention within your own being that you are going to look after yourself, nourish yourself, love yourself in a deeper and more unconditional ways. That you will follow your heart and your intuition. That you will honor yourself. And just give yourself a squeeze. Thank you for being here for today's meditation and this little exploration into Tantra with me. If you'd like to connect with me, if you're not already connected with me, you can connect with me on my Deanne Awakening Love page or my Deangie page on Facebook. You can check out my website, which is www.awakeninglove.co.uk. Thank you for being here today, and maybe you're watching this on the replay. Thank you for watching it. I'm sending you all lots of love. Have a blessed day, blessed evening, or blessed afternoon, wherever you are in the world right now. And I'll see you all again tomorrow at 8 a.m. Just one final thing, actually. If anyone would like to make a contribution to my PayPal for, if you've been enjoying these meditations, these videos, following my work, then I would deeply appreciate any contributions. I'll put my PayPal in the comments box below, and so you just need to look through the comments to find it. And I would appreciate any contributions from you or any of you that watch this on the replay. Thank you so much for being here. So much love to all of you. And I'll see you all tomorrow at 8 a.m. British Summer Time, London time. Many blessings.